that boom during COVID. What was that like for you?
Unexpected. And the funny part about that was basically everybody was getting multiple offers on their listings. I didn't have any listings. I was working with buyers. So I was on the frustrated end of it. Did okay still. It just was a lot harder work. I'm usually more of a buyer's agent than a listing agent. Now, feels like right now I've got a lot better balance.
Yeah.
But back then I'm like, well, I wish I'd gone after listings harder because they were just
Flying.
off the shelf.
Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tampa Bay Unlocked, the podcast where we dive into the dynamic world of real estate and business in the vibrant Tampa Bay area. Join us as we sit down with top agents and industry leaders who share their insights, strategies, and stories of success. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, our interviews will unlock the secrets to thriving in one of Florida's hottest markets. Get ready to be inspired, informed, and motivated by the experts shaping the future of Tampa Bay. Tune in and let's unlock the wisdom from our next guest. I have Kevin Cottrill. He has done over $14 million in production this year and on to do much, much more. He's a proud member of the Agent Leadership Council here in Keller Williams St. Pete and a member of the Luxury Committee. Are we calling it the committee? I think we are.
I think we are.
Yeah. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
So glad to have you here. It's been a wild year.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But you've been around in the industry a long time. You got a really interesting story.
Yep, I guess.
You do. I'm telling you, you do. I'm telling you, you do. This is your time to shine. You're screaming from the mountaintops. So let's take us back. Let's go back in time a little bit, not too far. When you got started in real estate.
I got started in real estate. I got my license
Let's
in
keep this just a little closer.
2002, beginning like February of 2002. But before that, I was buying and selling houses, also known as flipping them.
So you were investing in real estate prior to becoming an agent?
Yes. Okay. And did probably about 8, 9 of them. And the last one I did, I think the agent that sold my house made as much money as I did on it. And I decided at that point that I'm going to go ahead and just get my real estate license.
Well, that's an interesting fact there because some people think that the investors are always making more money. Was it just the time and the era that was the same, or you follow what I'm saying? Because there's a time now where agents are looking at they're making these investors all this money.
But just like any cycle in real estate, I was going through one back then. This was basically 1999 to 2001, where it was a little hot for a while and everybody was flipping homes. And, of course, you could buy a home back then for $35,000.
Wow.
And we used an equity line on our house to do the renovations, and typically we make $35,000 to $55,000 on it in about 3 months. Wasn't too bad back then.
Yeah, that's good.
But then, times changed, the market changed a little bit, and basically I was selling, I hate to hear this, but I was selling my houses by owner and allowing buyer's agents to bring people. And like I said, the last one, he made as much as I did with no investment in it at all.
Right, so he had no risk, and so that stemmed you to be like, okay, maybe I need to get my license.
Yep.
Okay, I don't know if I remember that fact. That's interesting. Okay, so it's 2002. You go get your real estate license. How was that first year?
Better than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
I went to work for, people like to call them boutique firms here in town, and I decided I had to really jump into it. So I took everybody's phone calls for them when they weren't around. I did everybody's floor time and held everybody's houses open on the weekends. At that point, I think there were some agents that were getting a little fat and happy, and were happy to pawn work off on somebody else, and I was willing to do it. So that's how I built my business.
There's a key theme in there, in that you said better than you thought, but at the same time you were doing the work.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's not like you were sitting back coasting. You were working the weekends, open houses, showing up for floor time.
I would come to work, go home and eat dinner, and go back to the office and just mine everything till about 10 o'clock every night, and then go back home.
Okay. So then you were in the business 2002 to what, 2007, 2008?
Yeah, 2000.
And were you with that boutique the entire time?
Yes, up until then.
Okay.
And 2007 and 2008, as most people remember that were in real estate, was a really hard time. So basically all there was available were short sales.
Can we talk about that for a minute? Because you are one that went through it. So it's 2007, 2008. What happened? Like, and how quick did it happen?
It seemed like it happened very quickly. I started noticing, we started looking at foreclosures, and they were going up. And back at that time, the banks weren't really wanting to foreclose. They wanted to do a short sale. Short sales took forever, and they wanted to settle for more money than they were going to get. And short sales quickly turned into foreclosures. And I'm sure there were a lot of banks back then who wish they had taken a short sale number instead of what they got on the foreclosure.
Okay, so so the news breaks, and is it overnight that the industry changes? Is it a week? Is it a month?
It seemed like it was probably a 3-4 month process, from what I remember. But it seemed fast.
Well, that is fast. I mean, was it relatable to how, like, when interest rates spiked, in the last 2 years here?
It was much worse than that.
Much worse.
I wouldn't want to go through it again.
Okay.
Just say that right now.
Yeah. I can see it in your eyes. So at that time, so you had to pivot a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. So
I pivoted to finding another job. I kept my real estate license, kept my hands in it, but I had to do other things to support people.
Yeah.
So I got into sales in a different industry, all the while keeping my real estate license and still looking at properties and looking for investments and things like that. And then about 2012, I jumped back in full force with a partner, and we sold foreclosures, REOs.
Okay, so 2012, you're back in the business. So you're out for 4 or 5 years or so?
Felt like 5 years.
Yeah. Okay, you came back to it, but you're excited to come back.
I was skeptical because I had a job, and I didn't know if I could make it work. And it's the first time I'd ever been on a team, and not really been on one since. But I hooked up with a guy who really knew the business. We did a lot with Wells Fargo and people like that, and really opened my eyes to what was going on out there, and did okay. We really sold a lot of homes, and I picked up some great investors during that time that are still working with me now, for 12, 13 years now.
Wow, that's quite a long time to keep a relationship.
Well, yeah, if you keep making them money, they'll stay with you.
I wanted to talk about that a little bit, but I want to keep going on this timeline a little bit. Okay, so it's 2012. How long were you in the REO business?
Probably 3.5 years. Then it started turning about 2012 a little bit. I mean, not 2012, but 2014, 15.
And what brokerage are you with at this point?
I was with Hofacker in town here. Then I went to North Star, which is a local brokerage also. A little bit with Century 21, and then back here.
Okay. So was that your first? You said back here. Was that your first time coming?
Well, I came here in 2012.
Okay.
And we left with our own little brokerage for a while.
Yep.
And when the REO business dried up, he kicked me out of the nest and got back into it by myself.
Got it. Okay. So you were with Keller, then went and ventured, and then came back. And what year was that you came back?
I think 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been here since.
Yep.
Okay. So 2015, what's the landscape of the real estate market? What are you focusing on? What's your business look like in 2015?
In 2015, being a single agent again, it was a little tough at first.
Let's try to get a little closer to the mic.
It was a little tough at first, but I was able to lean on some of my investors. They started building houses instead of just buying and selling, finding lots and things like that. It took a while. A lot of small sales, then mixed the bigger ones in with it. It probably took about a year to get my, fully back on my feet again.
So 2015, you started to shift. Now you're a single agent. You're working with investors and starting to do this new construction stuff. I know before we had talked, you had shared that there was a time where you really niched into that. When did that happen? When you were like, okay, if I'm going to get into luxury, you found your way into that niche in a very unique way.
Yeah, it did. One of my investors was looking for a waterfront property. It was available, and he was going to build his own house on it. And I found one for him. It took about a year to close on it for various reasons. And by that time, he'd already built another house. And so he decided, obviously it was his money, to build a house and sell it. So I saw that as an opportunity to jump in there. And, I sold luxury listings before, but not, 5,000 square foot houses. And I think that one we had it on the market for 2.7 or 2.8, and it closed at 2.7. And he was very happy. So,
Okay, so that got you the first taste of that.
uh-huh.
And so you continue to build out that relationship and really specialize in this construction world in finding these lots.
Yeah, I love doing it. It's fun.
What about it is fun to you? Because that's a unique way to go about the business.
I like the challenge of finding a property for somebody and then, going through all the numbers, what I think they'll sell it for. If they can give me their construction costs, which they don't usually like to do, but I tell them I need that number because I won't present a property to somebody unless I know that it's worth it, if their ROI is worth it on the back end after all closing costs and all that.
Yeah, so you're showing up with a full package.
I try to.
Yeah. How much time does that take you?
As soon as something pops up, I look at it. And sometimes they alert me to properties too, which is good. They don't go to somebody else. But as soon as something comes up, I'll look at it, especially if it's waterfront. It doesn't happen that often, and it depends on what part of the area it's in. It's different in Northeast than it is out at the beach area.
Right.
So look at that and look at the days on the market average for a larger new construction home and see if it's worth their while.
So now that you've had some reps in this in time, what's some wisdom or expertise that you feel like you've gained, or something that you know now that you didn't know in 2015 when you started doing this?
I think it's the confidence that I can always find something for somebody if you dig deep. I'm not the only one who does that,
Right?
but generally, sometimes I feel like I don't have enough buyers. I'll see something out there and I just wish that they could buy another property. So I have found alternate investing for some of these people too, and they're starting to make moves like that.
Yeah, I just love that, and I love your story of like going through it, and then you haven't shared here, but you were very specific and intentional about doing it that way, and getting into the new construction business at a high luxury level,
Right.
To do it, right? And I think you can't. I don't want to skim over that because so many agents getting into the business want to try to appeal to everyone and they want to do everything, when the real magic I feel like happens when you find a niche and become a specialist in that area.
Yeah. I still try to do everything. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Because all transactions are fun to me.
Of course.
So,
So I heard Phil Jones say something really incredible. When you're a specialist, you can help the generalist, and when you're a generalist, you can help no one.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Right? Because when you're a generalist, no one knows what you specialize in.
Mm-hmm.
They're not coming to you. But when you're a specialist, you're in a niche. They know that they can come to you for you this and other things as well.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I like about this office. We do have specialists sitting all around here that people come to me and ask me about investments. I go to different people and ask them about commercial projects and things like that. We've got a wealth of knowledge here to share.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what's fun about real estate. There's just so many different facets to it. This year and more recently, you really dove into like even expanding into the luxury network of Keller Williams.
Yeah.
What has that been like for you?
Meeting a lot of interesting people.
And what's the importance of it? Like, explain a little bit from how you understand it.
Well, there's two different facets to it. Knowledge and possibly referrals. Right now, I like going to these meetings. We have a meeting once a month in a different city. I don't go to all of them, but you're sharing information. I talk about how to market my properties. What would you do here? I see things that other people are doing, and ask if I can kind of borrow that.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be promotions, advertising, whatever. So I get a lot out of it.
Learning, you've really showed up. I mean, and I'm definitely complimenting you here. So, but you're always coming from a place of learning, and you have high participation in a lot of things involved in the office. Where, not to say that there's others that do that, but not always. And so, what is it like? Why do you do that? Why do you show up the way you do for the office and to these events? And you're always, I feel like, looking to do more.
Part of it might be selfish. I'm getting up there in age, and I like to keep myself busy.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I want to do is retire. Everybody else wants to retire. I don't know what I would do. Luckily, I'm in a job that I like. I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of have to do it for the money,
Right. Right. Right.
but
Of course.
I could maybe do something else, or I could retire, but I'd like to
Yeah, you enjoy.
contribute somehow.
Yeah, no, you're here early in the morning. You show up early. You still participate at a high level, so it's really fun to watch. What mistake do you see new agents make most often,
Wow. Well, giving up too early.
and what's that time? What's too early to you?
Well, they come in, you go through the training and all that. I don't think you are going to hit your stride in less than a year. It takes a long time to get that first sale. It's different than when I became an agent. There were a lot less agents, so less slices of the pie as there were back then, or there are now. But I think that, or maybe one of the things, not asking questions. If somebody feels lost or they don't have a question, don't be afraid to ask somebody. I had somebody basically mentor me, and I didn't ask her to. She just did. And I think that we have a lot to offer as agents here to help other people. It helps everybody when everybody's succeeding here.
I believe that. Yeah, 100%, 100%. So agents aren't asking enough questions and giving up too early. I see that.
Well, it might not just be asking too much questions, but I think that you have to commit to this. This isn't a part-time job. I tried that. It didn't work.
When in your timeline was that you were?
That was 2012 when I came back in.
Okay.
Yeah. I tried to keep the other job, and I was run ragged, and my sales weren't as good. When I had a little bit of a comfort zone with the other job at the time that you hate to give up a salary, but I decided to just jump back in it, and it worked. Luckily.
Yes. Well, I think there's something about perseverance and putting your back up against the wall that gives you the extra drive, right? Where you have to make it work. We have to make it work. That's cool. So what about state of the market overall? We're in Tampa Bay Unlocked. We're in St. Pete, but so where do you think? Like, you've watched St. Pete change over the years from the REO business to where you are now. How has that landscape changed for you and your business, and where do you see it going in the future?
Well, I think, I always say the economy always runs in cycles. It doesn't really matter who the president is. Maybe an unpopular thing to say, but
I think you're right. I think if you let that control your business, you're missing out.
Yeah, and so, basically ever since I've been here since '88, I wasn't a realtor until 2002. I've just watched the city change a lot, and but it's generally on an upward trajectory price-wise and things like that, and people moving in and all that. And you had the blip during the recession, but that's a one-off, I think. I think things have settled down. We may have been gaining value, maybe not value, but prices could have gone up a little too fast for a while. I think they're starting to settle down. Interest rates have something to do with that. But I don't think it's all interest rates either. I think people do want the prices to stabilize.
Yeah, I think that boom during COVID, what was that like for you?
Unexpected. And the funny part about that was, basically everybody was getting multiple offers on their listings. I didn't have any listings. I was working with buyers. So I was on the frustrated end of it. Did okay still. It just was a lot harder work. I'm usually more of a buyer's agent than a listing agent. Feels like right now I've got a lot better balance.
Yeah.
But back then I'm like, well, I wish I'd gone after listings harder because they were just flying off the shelf.
Right. Different landscape. So you say unexpected. So how quick was that shift at that time?
Well, just surprised the heck out of me because I had people at first.
You can come a little closer. Yeah.
I had people, investors and people that were getting ready to move down here, looking at condos downtown. They just, as soon as COVID hit, they just dried up. They said, nope, I'm afraid to purchase anything right now. And I'm sure they wish they had, but who knew that that people would basically flock here?
In droves, right?
Yeah. I was worried. I was like, what am I going to do for a living?
Yeah, so it was just a little bit of time, and then it really peaked off. So, like, you've gone through multiple shifts in the market. And what have you learned through those shifts that you can apply or give wisdom to for those listening?
Well, you have to adapt to the environment real estate or sales or anything, and just recognize what you're in and find a way. I mean, you're still doing the same core principles to the job. Just might have to work a little harder or work a little different to make it happen.
And what are ways that you've worked to maintain relationships with your sphere and your people? Because I think that's your main source of lead generation.
It is. I don't do enough. I will say that younger or newer agents are much better at that than I am. That's why I partnered with Michael
Yeah.
Thompson. He can handle the social media and everything. He has to remind me to share something because I don't do it. Yeah, so I'm catching on a little bit. But
To that point, I mean, do you think? Well, that's just interesting. It's interesting because now your time in business, and it's proof that as you put time in, business still comes to you.
yeah, sometimes unexpectedly, sometimes just when you need it. I have people that have done business with me my whole career, which is 23 years, something like that, almost 23, and they've referred me to people, and I probably should go out and reach out more to other people, but and it doesn't mean I sit back and wait for it to come. I really enjoy going out and getting things for people.
Yeah. No, absolutely. There's just so many different ways to handle the business. I always say it's like launching a rocket when you start. It takes a lot of momentum, a lot of energy to get off the ground. And the higher up you get, right? Like now you're at a point where you have past clients, all these things. There's other ways for business to come in, your reputation, relationships that you built over the years. So that hard work that you put in when you're doing those open houses and all that floor time, even though there was a gap in business, you still gained a lot of skill sets that you're using now.
Yeah, and it's not all roses. I still have the ups and downs. I have not figured that part out. I think that's the market, and it could be me sometimes, but I try to adapt to all that. And, this past year, frankly, wasn't as good as the year before. I mean, it was still an acceptable year, but not by my standards.
I should have asked you this previously. When before 2002, when you first got into the business, were you in sales prior?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah, I've been in sales probably since 1984.
Okay. So that's the thing that now is
Yeah.
ingrained in you.
Different kind of sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still the same type of thing as customer relations.
What do you think?
Showing up.
What do you think is most important for the customer in particular for real estate? Like, what do people care about the most, from your perspective?
Well, I think it's in any kind of sales. When I'm in front of somebody, just listen. You can talk too much, and I've been accused of that, not just in sales, but in life. But you can basically listening to what clients' needs are, whether you're selling, construction materials or houses, and following through, anticipating. I try to stay proactive with my listings. I give them updates by text or a phone call before they call me, because you don't really want to wait that long.
Right. If they're calling you, it's too late, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting just to think, like, with how long you've been in the business and wisdom to just to watch the changes and everything, now with social media, like you said, it's something now with the adaption of AI and all the other things, like that wasn't when you got into the business a lot different in even how you showed property.
Right, much. Yeah, I mean, we didn't even have MLS. We had a book at first. The book was going out when I came in, thank God, because you carried this big book with you and turned the pages. And I can't believe we actually did that.
And how often did that book get updated? Was it?
I can't even remember because it really was on its way out.
Oh, you got lucky.
In.
You got lucky.
Yeah, I did get lucky because I knew back when I was looking for houses before I became a realtor, having one of those books was golden. If you got a realtor to let you drive around, a friend was a realtor and you could drive around with it. They weren't supposed to give them out.
Oh, okay, got it. Now, like for anyone listening who maybe is not from here, or like when you work, do you work with anyone from out of state?
Just on referral basis when
Yeah.
you come here. I don't have. I did.
That's
have
what I
a
mean.
few-
When people are moving
Yeah,
here.
now I have worked with investors that live out of state.
Okay.
And, haven't done much with them lately. That kind of dried up during COVID.
People stopped.
Yeah, they got they kind of held on to their money. So I had somebody in California, a few people in New York, and all that, and they really haven't as far as I know, they haven't really gotten back into it.
Got it. That's why I was wondering if from people that are out of state coming here, what are things that they care about? You know, like from an out of state investor, where they're just seeing the opportunity of the prices just increasing.
Yeah, I mean, right now we've got we've got builders coming from, Georgia, North Carolina, places like that to take advantage of what happened after the flood. They're buying properties, prices have been depressed because of what happened, and they probably do the same thing I do. Look at what they're getting the property for, what it cost them to build, and what the probable sales price is, and they're coming in from Georgia now for sure.
I'm glad you mentioned the flood. You recently experienced the flooding yourself,
I did.
personally.
Yeah.
Walk us through that experience a little bit, because this is the first time you've taken on water, correct?
Yeah, I will put that right up there with the 2008 experience
Yeah.
of the recession. Walking into my house and opening the door and the next day and hoping there's not going to be any water, but there was, and videoed it and probably haven't really watched it since then. But yeah, pretty much we had a foot and a half of water. Doesn't seem like much, but we lost everything.
Yeah.
We're gonna demolish his house and rebuild on the same lot.
Wow. Wow.
So
Yeah,
mortgage time.
it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot to go through, and so many people have, and just changed the landscape for so many, and there are now so many homes that are up for sale. Who do you
Yes.
think's going to buy those?
I've not seen a homeowner put an offer on one yet. Let's just say, possibly people that want, investors that might want to flip a house. That's still a crapshoot because we don't know what a house that's renovated after the storm is going to sell for. I think I actually have a listing like that. I think some of the first homes that have been renovated probably will be coming back on the market right about now because, 3 months or so at least to renovate it. And then you have to find somebody that can get in there and do it. And the contractors are spread very thin right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have people from up north coming down here. But I think that's a big F for an investor. What's it going to be worth when people forget about the flood, if they do?
If they do, right. And to your point, you're rebuilding.
Uh-huh.
And how did you go through that decision to do that?
My wife went through that decision to do that.
Okay, fair enough.
So she just told me, well, we can we can refurbish it and put it back to where it was, but we're not moving back in. And I did want to do that because I knew if we decided to sell it, we were going to lose quite a bit of value because of the panic selling that's frankly going on. So I said we'd have to live in it at least a year or so to do that. And so we decided that we still like living there, love the neighborhood, our friends and everything, that we would go ahead and knock it down and build it to FEMA specs, and we're just going to stay there until we die, probably. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, but I get what you mean, and it's I just asked because I know there may be some people or other agents that are listening and advising people that are going through that, and it's it's a big decision.
Right.
And I feel like you came to a conclusion pretty quickly.
Yeah, when it first happened, I had a lot of friends wondering what they should do with their property, and I tried. My advice was sit back and wait. Don't panic yet. If you can sit back and wait, don't do it. A lot of people, they don't have the money to go rent a house or something else for a year, and if they say they own their property free and clear, and they've had it for a long time, and basically it's lot value, but that lot value plus whatever their settlement might be from the insurance company might put them in the black, and they move somewhere else.
Right. Yeah, what a weird time that was as an agent when people are like you're going through it yourself, and people are calling and asking you for advice, and what advice? Like it's tough to give advice in that scenario.
Yeah, that's what I gave. That's what I tried to do.
Yeah.
And I said, if you really do want to sell, let's take a look and see what's going on out there. It was quick. You could see things happening very quickly, and I think the prices dropped a little too much at first. But so that becomes the new price,
Right.
and they didn't really care that you had 500 more square feet than the guy next door.
Yeah, it was just everyone
because
just
they
get
were
rid
looking
of
at
it.
the lot.
Yeah, just looking at dirt. Do you think that's fair? Like for those, homes that were selling for just dirt value?
I mean, if that's what the seller wants to do. I feel I don't even like being part of it. If you don't know the truth, I've sold 2 so far, like that, and one of them was for a friend. It's a bad feeling watching somebody like go through that.
Yeah, no, I know, and I don't mean to press on it because I know it's sensitive, but it is a topic of conversation that's relevant for the time, and affected thousands of people here in the area. So it's it's going to be interesting to watch over 2025 of what these neighborhoods do and how they how the city reacts, and yeah, it's a huge thing.
People are still going to move here. I
No,
will
for
say that.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I think that
So I do. I think there are going to be some areas that might have take a little longer to get back to where they were, and mine might be one of them. But I'm going to stick it out. The real estate market always comes back.
Yeah, I don't necessarily concerned, and especially back in some of those communities, they're so strong. That was the coolest thing about all of that is seeing the community come together.
Right.
And just like, well, this is just what we got to do.
Yeah, because everybody in my neighborhood went through what I did.
Right.
And, we're all going through the same thing, making different decisions.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few months with all that, because no one has the crystal ball, right?
Nope.
Yeah. What's the future hold for you? What do you think the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years looks like?
Well, I'll definitely still selling real estate. Like I said, I don't plan on retiring, and I think my best years are ahead of me. Honestly, that sounds like something you just catchphrase. It's true. I've got some big projects going, new construction. 2 of them, one's finished, one's in the ground, another one's getting ready to start, and and then I build my business around that with other sales.
Yeah, you got a nice $6 million listing on the market right now.
Yes.
Just walk us through that project a little bit. How did that come to be? How involved were you? Did you find a lot? Like, what? Like, can we talk about that project?
Sure. Yeah. It's not anybody.
Yeah.
Everybody does it a different way. It was one of my builders that we had already sold 2 homes together. This time he decided to partner up with somebody, and it was an investor from Denver. And another agent told me about a property that had gone off the market. So it happened to be an agent that owned it. Worked out a deal. We bought the property a little over 2 years ago.
There was a house on it?
There was a house on it, on the water. And
an obvious tear down? That's what I'm curious. Was this
no, it could have been, it was nice.
Okay.
But working out the numbers, the risk wasn't, well, we haven't sold the house yet, but with the numbers that we came up with and their construction costs, which have gone up since then, but we can build in the slop on that. The gentleman from Denver, he put up the money for the lots, and then we used an architect in Denver, which is a little different, but the permitting took a while this time because there were some changes made. But the house went up pretty quickly. It's probably the nicest one we've done. And if we sell it for anywhere near what it's listed for, or even within a couple $100,000, his ROI is over 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, makes me sick that I don't do this.
Right. But you are a key component in the process.
Well, I have fun. I try to. Sometimes I can help arrange landing and things like that. I find people that can do things, then I just back up. I don't want to. I'm not an expert in that. Wouldn't want to be.
Yeah. No, that's cool. What makes this one nicer than some of the others? The materials used, the design, location.
The design is nice.
So this architect knew what they were doing.
Yeah, but also the workmanship gets better with each one they do. I kind of know what to look for,
right?
So I can help with a punch list of things I see. When you see a miter joint and it looks like there's a gap in there, they're going to wonder what's behind the walls,
right?
So they're really good at that, and it looks really good quality construction. That's the feedback I'm getting from people.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really, really cool. And interesting to be able to identify, because some people, to be able to see here's a lot with the house on it and you're paying the value with the house on it, but to have the vision to scrape it and build a new project and believe in that. How do you go about pricing new construction homes?
Same way I price any other house.
Yeah.
Basically, I look at the similar size. Like these are all over 4,000 square feet. And I look at new construction. I consider new construction anything built since 2020. I see how long it stays on the market, how long it takes it to sell, and who bought it, if it's cash or finance, mostly cash usually at that level, and then pricing. If, different areas have different pricing. It could be out by the beach, it could be $1,300 a square foot. Here it could be $950 a square foot.
And how big of a price difference there if this home was not on the water, but was one lot back across the street?
Oh, that's a good one. I used to know those percentages, but it doesn't always work that way. I mean, it's got to be, on a house this size, it's probably $1.5 million at least.
So it goes from 6 to 4.5.
Yeah. On the other side of the street is another waterfront house in this neighborhood.
Right. But I'm saying if it wasn't waterfront.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because what I'm seeing, same size house is built, what I call interior lots.
Yes.
Probably selling for about
$3
million, and we're asking $5 million plus for these.
So it is $1.5 million difference.
Yeah, $1.5 million too. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, with that square footage,
Right, absolutely. But I'm just saying the cost of waterfront.
And really, right now, it changes every week or two. In all of St. Petersburg, there's only 8 houses like this available. They're 2020 above and over 4,000 square feet.
On the water.
On the water.
Yep.
Right now.
Not a lot of selection.
Not a lot of competition either.
Yeah.
So I got to sell this thing.
Right. Yeah. Well, and at that price point,
right. You wait a little bit. It's a shallow pool of buyers.
Right. But when it does pop, it's a beautiful home. So cool to hear about that project. And so this was 2 years in the making.
Yes.
So patience.
Yeah, actually longer, because I was looking for other properties for him first, and we would lose out on something because other people like to do the same thing.
Yep.
So just getting somebody to pull the trigger, but and then he's already bought this gentleman, the investor, has already bought another lot that's on the waterfront that we closed down a couple of months ago.
Nice.
He's moving to that next.
Okay. So yeah, so you got lots of projects going on. If you were to start all over, Kevin, back to day one, 2002, you somehow could go and give that guy.
Ask me how I do it differently.
Well, I mean, you're looking at you have an opportunity to go sit down and have coffee with Kevin 23 years ago. What do you tell him?
Just what I mentioned earlier. You don't give up. You just have to find a way and just do the dirty work there's always somebody else that's not doing the dirty work. And they could be in your own office. And I didn't mind. That was the young guy back then. Well, maybe relatively compared to now. But basically, I just was willing to, not going to say work harder, everybody else maybe smarter. But also, it was a time, just came out of a recession again. I think I've lived through 4 of these so far. And counting. I hope not.
Right, yeah.
But it was just, when you're not back against the wall, but when you're moving that and you giving up on what you were doing and going jump both feet into real estate, you got to give it everything.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Kevin, for the people that are still with us, I always ask, what's one word that they could leave in the comments?
That I could leave it in the comments.
No, the people that are watching. People are watching right now. They're with us. What's a word that they could put in the comments so we know? It's like a little secret word.
In the comments. For real estate, I'd say patience.
Patience. I like that. That's a right on par, right on theme. Comment patience below if you're still with us. Kevin, you build a great business. You're on to the more and more great things. It's awesome to watch everything you're doing. Thank you for being a great contributor to our office and always coming from a growth mindset and doing all amazing things. So appreciate you and all that you do. And if you're still with us, comment patience below. Like, follow, share with a friend, tell another agent about it to hear Kevin's story, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Yeah.